What's up? Okay, we're going over this Tom Snyder interview. um, and then what is it? People Are Talking. Is that the name of the show? And then a method of transformation. Tom, hey, the context. Yes. Look, I'll make it real simple. Oh, well, you asked a question about what is the context. Make it real simple. It's a very applicable. Most people start up a relationship, have a marriage, and try to get some satisfaction out of it. In other words, we hope the marriage will work out so that I will be satisfied and you will be satisfied. That's, I can almost guarantee, a failure. I almost guarantee failure in that kind of marriage. That one isn't going to work. But if you were to create a context of satisfaction for your marriage and then not try to get satisfaction out of it because you've already got it, that's the kind of context, that's the context of marriage. But what can I contribute to the marriage? Not what can I get out of it. When you understand context, you see, there's nothing much you can do about the circumstances of your life. You look like that. He's saying that to Tom Snyder. Yeah, you can comb your hair a little differently. He says, no, you could change your suit. Right. But one thing which you and you alone have over is the context for your life. Context for yourself of well-being, then the circumstances in your life reflect that. Even the negative circumstances begin to reflect that well-being as a part of well-being. If let me an example down, you use the word context. You know, how often have you heard somebody, oh, this is Tom Snyder saying, I was quoted out of context. Doesn't context mean all of it? Precisely. Isn't it the whole experience that we have? And you don't say whether it's marriage or job, let's put it in its proper context. And don't you say. Let's look at it as a part of the whole and realize that it fits exactly where it is. It's right where it should be. Beautiful. Leave it alone. Exactly. You know, and it's so exciting. The point that I want to make is that we're really good at dealing with concepts, the events, with the concepts. We have a little bit of skill of dealing with process and not much. And we have almost no training, almost no awareness. You think that determines the quality of your life. It's the space in which you think. It's what you could think. It's what you know. You can't. And that's what determines your life. It's not some different thought in a box, in the box. See, what everybody thinks is that if I just thought a little differently, life would be better. I'll tell you what, I knew a man who thought very positively, and he wrote a very large check, and it sent him to jail. Yeah. See, positive thinking differently, that isn't going to change a person's life. That isn't what's going to open up a person and make it sing a person's life. Precisely. When you can take the blinders off, that simple look at it, and it's that simple, and it's no mystery, and it's nothing that people can't deal with. We do the training in prisons. We've done the training in ghettos. We've done the training in Bombay, India. But the mistake that they make is that a lot of them come to, put a Mercedes Benz in. to do that. Not at all. That is, but says you might just open it up. So the methodology transfer. I said this before, and I want to read it again anyhow, both as a review and for those of you who haven't. It's a conversation between Martin Heidegger and a Japanese philosopher. One of the professors had been trained by Heidegger, so the Japanese, we Japanese do not think it strange if a dialogue leaves undefined what is really intended, or even restores it keeping of the undefinable. Heidegger responds, that is part of every dialogue that has turned out well. That is a part of every as a part, I believe, of every dialogue that has turned out well. Between thinking beings. What Heidegger means when he says thinking is much different from what anybody else's self means by thinking. As if it's take care that that undefinable something not only does not slip away, but force ever more luminously in the course of the dialogue. That's the methodology of the seminar. A narrative, not a story, not an understanding, not information, but whatever it is that he's speaking about when he says displays its gathering force ever more luminously in the course of the dialogue. And he doesn't mean display like something you look at, but rather something to be. The Japanese response, our dialogues with our teacher probably failed to turn out so well. We younger men challenged him much too directly to satisfy our thirst for handy information. We are a culture that listens for handy information. Something's useless if you can't use it, isn't it? You see, maybe what empowered people cannot be used by them. Maybe we need a kind of listening that can be present for what is powerful and not. Response, thirst for knowledge and greed for explanations never lead to a thinking inquiry, transformational inquiry. Curiosity is always the concealed arrogance of a consciousness that banks on a self-invented rationality. What does he mean by that? He means that he means that you think that you were born in such a way that anything which is valid, you are going to understand. Therefore, anything that you do not understand must be invalid. That's what he means. The will to know does not will to abide what is worthy of thought. He's saying there exactly what I just said a moment ago, that this will for information, this will for tips, this will for prescriptions, this will for how am I going to use it? How does this apply? How am I going to fix it? How's this going to help me fix it? It is no will to be with what is worthy of being with. It's different to be with than the will for knowledge or information or usefulness. R. Buckminster Fuller has been called the Leonardo da Vinci of our time. He's invented the geodesic dome, authored 18 books, was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize back in 1969, was the architect for the U.S. Pavilion at the World's Fair in 1967. I believe this is People Are Talking. Bucky, the name of the TV, has really committed his life to humanity, and we're delighted to have you join us on People Are Talking. There we go. When is it that you will be doing what is it that world work? The interviewer responds, that's it's all of that's what it's all about. And what can the little individual, which I there starting penniless, unknown, what can a individual do, if anything, effectively on behalf of all humanity, that's impossible for the great nations or the great enterprise? We have over 100 nations sharing 1/8 of the surface. I saw there nothing to from thinking about the total planet, the total inventory, total accumulative know-how, how and why humans happen to be here in the universe, particular planet, and what we thought, how they in the universe, how they haven't been on this particular planet, and how we ought to be doing about supporting the function of humans in the universe. Do you feel there's a lot that we as individuals can do to make the world better? I claim that there's nothing special about me. I'm a healthy, average human being, and I'm quite confident there's nothing I've done that others can't do equally well or better. So when people are talking about Bucky Fuller being Leonardo da Vinci, so forth, I simply think Leonardo may have been up to doing the same kind of thing, but we're strictly average human beings. You know that even there's about every human being, definitely the interview. And that's what's important about what Bucky is saying. That's right. Bucky is a special human. He's Bucky Fuller. And you are a special human watching this right now. Human being. That each of us is special in exactly. But I gave myself a chance to see, this is Bucky saying, what the little individual really could do. Where nobody paid me, nobody advised me to do what I was doing. I had to do radio producing artifacts. I had no money. I had a dependent wife and a child. How do you carry on from there and actually find that if you were doing what nature really wanted done about humans on the planet, if like support me exactly the way she supports these flowers. When you get in touch with the truth about yourself, when you know who you are, it expands your sense of yourself. So that, for instance, perhaps a while ago, it was you or me. If there was just so much good to go around, I had to make sure that I and my family and my friends, then you could have it. That is absolutely lethal. That is absolutely lethal kind of thinking today. Today, that will destroy the planet because it's no longer true. What will make the planet work today is that it has to work for everybody or it works for no one. And what people are excited about is that Bucky, through this 52-year experiment that he's been doing with himself, has come to know of the principles by which the planet actually works, by which life actually works. And the purpose of presenting Bucky is to give him a chance to share his insight into those principles with other people. When you know what it takes to make life work, when you know what it takes to make the planet work, it work for everyone. On that basis, it begins to work for you as well. Okay, Bucky, he's asking, are you excited about this weekend? Bucky's like,